Each and every week here on Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030, we bring you informative editions and episodes where we are mainly centered on production. But this episode is going to be very different. We are going to be looking at tobacco processing, where we are coming to you from Chevron Tobacco Company, who are not just limited to contract farming, they are also participating along the tobacco value chain. Today, I'm going to be joined by Mr. Tapiwa Maseza, the Executive Director of Chevron Tobacco Company, as well as a seasoned tobacco man. When you speak of tobacco blending, when you speak of agronomy issues, when you speak of establishing or sustaining or getting into the export markets, which is what the Zimbabwean economy needs at the moment. Stay tuned. Mr. Maseza, I'd like to thank you so much for affording us an opportunity to visit your premises here at Chevron Tobacco Company.
Welcome, Odzanai.
Yes. As we get into this discussion, Mr. Maseza, a brief introduction of Chevron Tobacco Company. I understand that you're not just limited to contract farming, but you are participating throughout the various stages of the tobacco value chain. Maybe a brief synopsis, a brief breakdown. How did it start and where are you at the moment?
Thank you, Odzanai. Chevron Tobacco Company is a tobacco merchant which is wholly owned by Zimbabweans and participating in Zimbabwe in terms of production of tobacco and the exports of tobacco to the global market. We are an actor across the world tobacco value chain. We do contract farmers in different regions, Manicaland, we are in Mashonaland East Province, Mashonaland Central, and Mash West. We buy this tobacco from the farmers and we process it into Laminar and also into Cattrack. We are focused on export market, and our export markets that are based in Africa, South Africa, Angola. We also into the Middle East, mainly Dubai. Asia, we also export to China. We also export to Vietnam, Cambodia, and many other countries that we export.
A brief synopsis of how the contract works, where you are approaching a producer, what are you promising them, or what is the contractual obligation, looking at it from a contractor's perspective. I understand that the farmers also do have to own up to the end of the bargain, but you as a contractor, what are you bringing in, and how are you adhering to the principles of the government of Zimbabwe?
First of all, let me also mention that we are governed and we adhere to the regulations as prescribed by the Tobacco Industry Marketing Board, who is the regulator of the tobacco marketing and production in Zimbabwe. So there is what we call tobacco framework, which has been put in place, and we adhere to that. So the most important thing is also to look at our farmers. We need to ensure that there is sustainability. The farmer is supposed to be producing tobacco and making sure that when he produces tobacco, he is able to take care of the family. He has got income at the end of the day. So the structure that we have with our farmers ensures that the farmers, after producing the tobacco for us, they have got residual income which is supposed to take them out of poverty. Poverty alleviation is one of the goals. Sustainability is one of the goals that we have to ensure. So in terms of what we then provide to the farmers, we provide them with inputs, seed, fertilizers, chemicals, and working capital. And on top of that, we provide them with technical advice. We train these farmers in terms of good agronomic practices so that they are able to use these inputs effectively and efficiently and ensure that there's productivity, and also to ensure that they produce the quality of the leaf that is expected of Chevron, and for us as Chevron to meet those customer-specific requirements for export.
Okay.
So this is how we relate with our farmers. This is how our contract farming scheme is designed. But at the end of the day, this is business not only for Chevron, but farmers, they are also in business. Yes. So we need to ensure that the farmers get the profit.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maseza, for that. Yeah. Now, as we round off this segment, Mr. Maseza, your participation through beneficiation, I understand that the government of Zimbabwe, even through the ministry, our Lline Ministry of Agriculture, they are speaking of beneficiation, where they are saying that we are not supposed to just be limited to production, but we need to get closer to the consumer through making sure that we also have the capacity and means of producing the end product. Now, looking at the value chain of the tobacco industry, it is very cumbersome. We have various stages. Your participation, where is it centered? Where is it anchored?
Thank you so much, Wazanai. Let me try to break it down and say that along the value chain, like you have mentioned, we have got input suppliers, we've got financiers, we have got the farmers doing the production. We are there doing the production with the farmers. We contract, we give the farmers inputs, we give them technical advice. We are coming here, we are also the merchant here. We are buying the tobacco from the farmers. But the most important thing is what we are talking about is the beneficiation. What then happens after you have purchased the tobacco? We as Chevron, if you are looking at the sales pie chart for Chevron, 70% of our exports, they are more in the cut rag form.
Okay.
Rather than the laminar. If you are to go back on the tobacco transformation value chain strategy, it then says about 95% of the tobacco is exported as laminar or as semi-manufactured tobacco. We are not there. We are taking 60% of our sales to 70% of our sales in cut rag.
Okay.
So cut rag, after you do your laminar processing, you do further value addition or beneficiation, where you take that laminar, you further blend it into a cut rag. So what is cut rag? Cut rag is a near cigarette form. Yeah. So what is then left after cut rag is just to put the cigarette paper, the filter, and everything. But the blending aspect, it finishes at the primary stage, which is called cut rag production. So 60 to 70% of our exports, they are on cut rag. So if you look at these dynamics in terms of the figures, you would then see that whilst we are saying as a country we are exporting 95% as laminar, it's not the same as with Chevron. We are exporting 60 to 70% of our exports is in cut rag.
Okay.
30% is in laminar.
Okay.
So we have moved the ladder in terms of value addition. And as we are moving, we are now left with doing the cigarette. And the cigarette, for us, already the blend, we have got it. The cut rag is the blend, it's a cigarette blend.
Okay.
That's what we are doing. We are giving the cigarette blend to companies in Vietnam, companies in Cambodia, companies in Philippines, companies in Dubai. So what they are just doing, they are just putting the cigarette paper in the filter. And this is the last stage that we are now going into.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Maseza, for such a detailed presentation where you alluded to the fact that after cut rag, you are just left with putting the cigarette paper, which is the final stage of producing your cigarettes. It was a pleasure speaking of that in this first segment. There you had it, viewers. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the second segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agriculture and New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. As I have alluded to earlier on in the first segment, I am coming to you from Tobacco Chevron Company, which is a company which is not just limited to contract farming, but it also participates along the tobacco value chain. Now, viewers, encourage you to be a part of these conversations. Feel free to get in touch with the producer, Wadzanai Manyore, so 0772-807-506. Alternatively, you can like our Facebook page, Agribusiness with Wadzanai. Make a follow-up on this episode and more, and leave your comments and suggestions. They are most welcome to us. Our YouTube channel is Agribusiness with Wadzanai. We're also now available on X, formerly known as Twitter, and our handle there is at Agribusiness110. On LinkedIn, we have a thriving, growing community where our profile is at Wadzanai Manyore. Now, Mr. Maseza, we are here in the second segment. Welcome back.
Thank you, Wadzanai.
Yes. Now, I know our viewers want to know what happens to their bells after you buy them as a merchant. Now, I know that we are standing in between cartons where we are having boxes of laminar, and you said this is cut rag. Just a brief rundown of the difference between cut rag and this box of laminar.
Yeah, so for the farmers, I think the most important thing is once we have purchased their bells, we blend them. Blending basically is the mixture of different grades of tobacco to achieve specific characteristics. So when we do that, the tobacco is taken to GLT, which is green leaf threshing plant, or a terminary plant. Basically there, the tobacco is now being mixed according to the blending instruction and the removal of the stem, dust, sand, and reconditioning of the tobacco into laminar. Okay. So this box that you are seeing here, this is what we call laminar. Okay. So when we are talking about Zim exporting tobacco, not value added at 95%, this is what we are talking about. Most of the Zim tobacco is going out of the country in this form. Right, from this form, you can then take different laminar grades and you combine them or blend them again into cut rag production. Okay. Yes, so this is what you call cut rag production, cut rag. So this is the cut rag form of tobacco. Okay. Yeah, it's shredded into thin strips of tobacco. You add some stems and you also add some flavors. So this is the near form of a cigarette. Yeah. So when you are saying as Zim we need to improve on our value addition or beneficiation, we are saying let's have more of our tobacco being exported in this form as cut rag and cigarettes. So this is what will be called PMD, primary manufacturing. This is green leaf threshing primary manufacturing. The cigarette manufacturing is called secondary manufacturing.
Okay.
Yes.
So roughly at the moment, Zimbabwe is exporting its tobacco in this form.
In
as
this
Laminar,
form,
not as Catrag.
Not
but
as Catrag.
as Chevron, you are already exporting
60% to 70% of our export is more on the Catrag.
Okay.
And we export less of Laminar.
Looking at the inputs that you are giving our farmers per hectare under the adherence and the guidelines of our Tobacco Industry Marketing Board, but roughly per standard, what are our farmers getting from contractors?
Yeah, so for the contractors, and maybe specifically to say Chevron, if you are to expect your farmer to give you the quality of the tobacco that you want, the yield that you want. So the yield is also, the quality and the yield are also a function in terms of what the farmer can get in terms of revenue and also being able to repay the loan. So you need to make sure that you give the farmer the adequate inputs that are needed timeously at the rightful time. So you need to give him a complete seedbed package that includes the seed, the chemicals and the fertilizer for the farmer to establish the seedbed.
Okay.
This is the basic thing, the first thing. The second thing is you also need to provide the farmer with the fertilizers that are needed in terms of the nutrient supply to the plant.
In the main field.
In the main field. And also the chemicals for the protection of the crop.
Okay.
Yes. So you need to provide the fertilizers and the basal fertilizers.
Okay.
Let me be very specific. You need to provide the basal fertilizer. You also need to provide the chemicals for the crop protection. After that, you also need to provide the necessary ammonium nitrate or the top dressing. So it can be ammonium nitrate, it can be green sulfur, it can be potassium nitrate. So at that stage, you as a contractor, you don't need to be put yourself in the box. You need to take yourselves outside the box, because at the point when the crop needs top dressing, depending on how the rains are falling.
Exactly.
So if there's a lot of leaching, you might need to supplement again. So it should not be like a rule of thumb that I only give 3 bags for my small scale farmer, but you need to also assess. So at Chevron, we've got a framework in terms of guided by the good agronomic practices for our farmers. So we do these assessments to see, okay, this farmer, because of the nature of the soil, because of the target yield that we want, the quality of the crop that we want expect from the farmer, therefore we should give him a package like this, which is tailor-made to that.
Okay. Now I want us to speak of your expected yield, your expected tonnage per given farm. I understand that you are working with smallholder farmers as well as those that are graduating to getting into the commercial scheme. What is it like with regards to the expected yields?
Thank you so much, Fadzanai. Let me start with a range. We have got a heterogeneous community of farmers, small-scale farmers. We have got those ones which are still being said small-scale farmers, but maybe they have got 12 years experience in growing tobacco. They've got better management skills. So you see, even as much as these are still doing their crop production under dryland, their yields, they can actually go to 1.5 to 1.8 tons per hectare on dryland crop. Then we have got also those farmers who still have lack of skills in terms of managing the crop. They're still getting as low as 800 kgs to 1,000 kgs. But the most important from a point of view of the contractor is to continuously train these farmers, provide the skills, support them through the field officers so that their skills set is improved, so that also their yields and the quality can be improved. It's very paramount on that because it helps the farmer to realize more profit and be able to pay off the debt.
Yes. Yeah. So roughly, Mr. Masedza, in terms of yields, kilograms, your smallholder farmers, how are they holding up?
Averagely, I would say 1,200.
Kilograms per hectare?
Per hectare.
Which is not bad.
Which is not bad. That's the average. Of course, we have got those ones who are also on the lower end, 800 kgs. We still have those ones who are actually doing very well, 1.5, 1.8 on dryland crop.
Okay.
So I think on average, let's say 1,200 kgs.
Okay.
And with the set of the inputs that we are supporting them and the prices that we are also giving them, because remember, we are a company that is exporting more of Catrag where we get more value. So our pricing is very fair to the farmers. So most of our farmers are able to pay their debt with the 3 to 4 bells. They would be able to pay off their debt.
The rest is profits.
The rest is profit.
And they remain in business.
This is sustainability. This is business. When we look at the farmers, we look at them and say, these farmers, they are into business.
They are business
and the objective
people.
of the business is to make profit.
Thank
and we
you so
ensure
much
that.
for that. There you heard it, viewers. We're going to go on a short commercial break in the third segment where we'll continue to look at production when we speak of the tobacco value chain. Stay tuned. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agriculture and New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. I would like to give this disclaimer. Yes, I do not smoke, but if you open this jar of cat rag and just smell it, the aroma is so strong. And I must say, I do understand those that want to smoke, mainly saying that they prefer the Zimbabwe flavored tobacco, given the aroma, which speaks to the fertilizer, the chemicals, the production means that our Zimbabwean farmers and the contractors are working together to ensure that there is production. Now, Mr. Masedza, we are here in the third and final segment. Welcome back.
Thank you, Wadzanai.
Looking at production and looking at issues surrounding loan repayment, debt recovery, at what stage, at what periods of the year, at what months would you say we are done with loan recovery? And maybe just cite some of the challenges that our Zimbabwean tobacco farmers are encountering them that might lead to say, akundikana kubhadhara chikwereti, ende munhu akadaro anobatsirwa sei?
Thank you so much, Wadzanai. Debt recovery or loan recovery, it starts from contracting the farmer. It sounds very awkward, but the way you select your farmer, then that's the beginning of the loan recovery. If you don't profile your farmer properly, you cannot contract a farmer who doesn't have tobacco bans. So already that farmer is likely going to fail because he has no way to cure the crop. So the moment when you are going to, is going to harvest the crop and is going to look for the barns, everyone is occupied, his barns, they are occupied. So he has got no way to cure the tobacco. That farmer is going to fail and he's not going to, you are not going to recover the loan. The second thing is you also need to look at the barn capacity. You might have the barns, but the barn capacity is very important. Does the hectareage suit the barn capacity? And the history of the farmer in terms of production. If the farmer has got a history of side marketing and not selling through his grower number, that farmer, you are going to have a challenge in terms of loan recovery. Okay. So it then goes on to the beginning of the season. So the first 6 weeks, you should expect all your farmers to have brought all the lower reapings to the medium, almost like middle stocks. Like cutters reapings. And lags. Yeah. So your primings, your lags and your cutters, the first 6 weeks, all the farmers should have brought this. When you start to have a farmer not bringing any bell the first 6 weeks, that's an indication, that's a red flag. That farmer, you are going to have a problem with him. Either side marketing. Either side marketing, yes. After 6 weeks, you need now to isolate the farmers probably that you are saying these are in the red category. They have already side marketed so that you can start to do recoveries. Okay. In terms of whatever that is still there, you might need to take it and ensure that you recover whatever the inputs that you have given to them. Okay. So, yes, we might have some farmers having challenges of labor to grade tobacco, but once the season has come to the end, there's no way the farmer is going to clear the loan. Atokundikana ye farmer. And we still need to assess these farmers and see exactly what were the drivers to that. So we have got also farmers that would have failed to clear their loans, but we have recontracted them. Okay. Because we need to look at what really made this farmer fail to clear the loan. Pamakabirwa, maybe it's bonfire. I mean, there are so many issues that are surrounded that. Maybe he got sick. We are looking at the smallholder farmer where the issue of labor is mainly the family labor, not children. Exactly. Baba na mai. Never tikure ndiwo wari kupinda mumundo wachishanda. Baba warwara, mai warwara. O baba warwara, mai waenda na baba kuchipatara for a long time. Mumunda masara mnanochikora, zvadini zvese. So that farmer might fail. But if you look at the production in this over the past 3 years or 4 years, that has been a good farmer. So it's an exceptional. Exactly. So we still need to refinance the farmer so that he comes out of that debt situation. Now, as we round off this segment, Mr. Masses, I want us to speak of risks, looking at the risks that you encounter as contractors, as merchants, and how you are working to ensure that you reduce the risks and uncertainties that come with this business of contracting farmers. How is it like for you? Yeah, there's a great misconception as to say that merchants, they make supernormal profits. I would want to challenge you, Wadzanai, as a agribusiness journalist, to do some research in terms of how the local indigenous companies or even the other companies have been operating in Zimbabwe. I wouldn't want to mention names, but I will tell you that several companies, merchants exporting, they've collapsed. They are no longer there.
They've gone out of business.
Yes. If they were making supernormal profits, why would they
collapse or shut down?
Or shut down when they're making supernormal profit. You don't run away from a business that is giving you supernormal profits.
Exactly.
So it's a misconception. I would prefer that maybe one day the farmers union and the merchants can have a more like a working session where these numbers are properly dissected and presented so that the farmers, they also understand where the merchants stand. And we, the merchants, in as much as we say we know the problems of the farmers, we also need to understand the problems of the farmers. They have got also the problems in terms of production that they are facing. It's not like everyone in this value chain is actually is happy. There are challenges across the whole value chain, and every actor need to understand the other actor.
Exactly.
And especially the merchant and the farmer. There's a misconception, there's mistrust between these two. The farmer thinks that he grows the tobacco, he's giving to the merchant is making supernormal profit. The merchant is saying, oh, the farmer thinks that I'm making a lot of money, and the farmer thinks he's making enough money for himself. But the farmers, they've got also their own side of the story. The merchants, they've got their own side of the story. I think one day a working session will be very good for these both parties. But let me go to the issues of risk that the merchants, they also face. So you see, I think if you look at the banks, they are also reluctant to finance directly to the farmers. They've de-risked the credit scheme by saying, okay, the merchants, you come and take the money, put a collateral, then you, the merchants, then go and then extend the loan to the farmers. So we, in as much as in this whole context where farmers are saying we have robbed the farmers of their money, but they also need to understand that we have carried the risk of extending the loans to them. Yes. So if you look at the recovery rate, I'm not so sure whether all these merchants they are managing to get to about 90%. Let me put it 85% as an average recovery rate. So what it means is for every $100 that you are financing the contract scheme, you are going to leave $15 there.
Right.
So we haven't actually started to do the beneficiation, the value addition. So
you're already negative.
You have already lost 15%. That's what it means. So the farmers, the merchants are actually carrying a lot of risk. There's a risk. So the issue of side marketing really needs to be revisited and looked into. And I would want to thank TMP. I think they've made a lot of efforts. The biometric system that they've introduced this year, it's all in effort to try to make sure that the issues of side marketing, they have been kept. And I think more effort needs to be done towards that. It's a cancer which is in the industry, side marketing. If it's not addressed, we are going to see a lot of merchants closing down.
Exactly.
Yeah, because of that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Masedza, for such a detailed presentation. I like that you allude the fact of having those farmer unions who are often loud during the season saying farmers are being shortchanged, farmers are being, are not being taken care of properly by their contractors. But here you are coming in telling us of what exactly happens and the implications that you are facing in your capacity as a merchant, as a contractor. It was a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you, Wadzanai.
There you had it, viewers. This is why on agribusiness we always have an opportunity and always create time and make time to ensure that we are bringing in the producers as well as the processors so that we get into the nitty-gritties of exactly what is happening within the tobacco value chain. From me, also Zanai Manyura, I'm also on Instagram, it's at Wadzi110, and the crew behind the scenes. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.